The laughter started softly at first, the kind that slips out when people think they won't be noticed, then grew louder as 17 young recruits stood in a loose line under the burning sun, boots dusty, uniforms stiff and new, faces full of confidence that had not yet been tested. In the middle of them stood a man who didn't quite fit. He was older, shoulders broader but heavier somehow, as if carrying weight no rucksack could explain. His uniform was worn the same as theirs, but on him it looked lived in, not borrowed. He kept his eyes forward, jaw tight, saying nothing while the whispers turned into open mockery. Did they open boot camp to babysitters now? One of them muttered, not even trying to hide it. Another laughed. Single dad, huh? What's next, PTA meetings between drills? The man didn't respond. His name patch read Carter. No rank, no decoration visible. Just another recruit on paper. His hands rested calmly at his sides, scarred knuckles catching the light when he shifted his weight. He had learned long ago that reacting only fed cruelty. Silence, he knew, was armor. They didn't know he'd woken. Up at 4 that morning to pack. Lunches for 2 kids who still believed their father could fix anything. They didn't know he'd braided his daughters. Hair with hands that once shook after. Missions he could never speak about. They only saw a tired single dad who looked out of place among men half his age. The drill instructor barked orders, forcing the line into formation, but the smirks lingered. Carter stared straight ahead, feeling the familiar burn in his chest. Not anger, not shame, but something colder. Memory. He'd stood on lines like this before, in deserts and snow, under skies that exploded instead of shining. Back then, laughter had never survived long. Hours passed in relentless drills. Push-ups, sprints, shouted commands. Sweat soaked through uniforms. One by one, the laughter faded as muscles burned and lungs screamed. Carter moved with steady precision. Not fast, not slow, controlled. He never complained, never lagged, but the recruits still found moments to sneer. During a break, one of them noticed the faint lines on Carter's forearm where his sleeve rode up, ink old and faded. "What is that?" he said loudly. "Some midlife crisis tattoo?" Carter tugged his sleeve down without looking. "Mind your business." The recruit grinned wider. "Touchy. Guess diapers and tattoos don't mix." A few others laughed again. Carter closed his eyes for half a second. He saw a different day. Years ago, blood in the sand. A radio crackling with static. A voice screaming his call sign as the world collapsed. He opened his eyes and breathed out slowly. The air shifted when the female commander arrived. She wasn't loud. She didn't need to be. Her presence carried authority the way gravity carries weight. Captain Elena Ramirez walked across the field with measured steps, eyes scanning everything, missing nothing. The recruits snapped straighter without being told. Even the drill instructor stiffened slightly. Her gaze paused on Carter. Not because he was older, not because he was quiet, but because of the way he stood, balanced, ready. The stance of someone who had learned the cost of being careless. "Who's that?" she asked calmly. "Recruit Carter, ma'am. New intake." She nodded, but her eyes lingered. As she moved closer, the wind shifted Carter's sleeve again, just enough. She stopped. "Recruit Carter," she said. "Yes, ma'am. Roll up your left sleeve." A murmur rippled through the line. Carter hesitated for the briefest moment, then obeyed. The faded tattoo emerged slowly, a simple symbol to untrained eyes. Coordinates wrapped around a minimalist insignia, worn and scarred like the skin beneath it. Captain Ramirez inhaled sharply. The world seemed to narrow to that patch of ink. She knew those coordinates. Very few people did. Fewer still were alive. Her posture changed instantly. Not fear, not anger, respect. "Where did you get that tattoo?" she asked quietly. Carter met her eyes for the first time. There was no defiance there, just truth, from my unit. Before it was deactivated, the silence was total now. No laughter, no whispers. Even the wind seemed to pause. Ramirez swallowed. "What was your call sign?" Carter's voice was steady. "Ghost 9. Her breath caught. She took a step back, then another, as if grounding herself. "Platoon," she said, voice suddenly sharp. "Attention!" Boots snapped together. 17 recruits stood frozen, eyes forward, confusion etched into their faces. Captain Ramirez walked slowly in front of them, then stopped beside Carter. She turned to face the group. "You see a single dad," she said. "A tired man. Someone you thought was weak." Her eyes hardened. "You are wrong." She turned to Carter again, lowering her voice. "Sir, I didn't expect—" "Neither did I, ma'am," he replied. She straightened and faced the recruits once more. "Recruit Carter has served more years in classified operations than all of you combined. Have been alive as soldiers. That tattoo marks a unit that officially never existed. Missions that never happened. Losses that were never acknowledged." The color drained from faces. One recruit's mouth hung open. "You laughed at him," she continued. "You mocked him." "You judged him." Her voice dropped. "Every one of you owes him your life, whether you realize it or not." She turned back to Carter. "Why are you here?" Carter exhaled slowly. "Because my kids deserve a future that's honest. And because running from who I was won't teach them how to be strong." Something passed across Ramirez's face then. Understanding. Maybe even admiration. She nodded once. "Very well." Then, to the astonishment of everyone present, she saluted him. Not sharply, not ceremonially, but with sincerity. Carter returned it automatically, muscle memory taking over before thought. The recruits stood stunned. The laughter from earlier echoed in their minds like a bad dream. From that day on, nothing was the same. No one mocked Carter again. Instead, they watched him. How he moved. How he listened. How he helped without drawing attention. When someone collapsed during training, it was Carter who lifted them. When fear crept in during night exercises, it was Carter's calm voice that grounded them. Late one evening, as the sun dipped low, one of the recruits approached him hesitantly. "Sir, I mean Carter." "I'm sorry." Carter looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Learn from it." The recruit swallowed. "Yes, sir." Carter walked back to his bunk later that night, pulling out a creased photo from his pocket. Two kids smiling at the camera, unaware of the weight their father carried so they wouldn't have to. He traced the edge of the photo with his thumb. He didn't need medals. He didn't need recognition. He just needed to stand. And this time when he did, the world finally stood with him.